So in the second part, we will read about Ernest as a young boy, and we have read about the visit of this gathering. In this part, the years went on and Ernest grew to be a young man. He attracted little notice from the inhabitants of the valley. He was not very much noticed by the people in his valley. Means he was not a very famous personality. They saw nothing remarkable in his way of life because he was not different from others. In some sense, we can say he was, because a person who is reserved, who is not very much involved in people, we become popular when we get involved with the people. We become popular. That is a different quality. But this boy, as he was of reserved nature, he was quiet, he was thoughtful. They saw nothing remarkable in his way of life except that when the labor of the day was over, he still loved to gaze upon the gravestones. Because his only interest was he had never forgotten the story of this gravestone, isn't it? So what he used to do whenever he is free, he sit down and gaze upon the great little stone face. Their idea was that this was a folly but pardonable because Ernest was industrious, kind, and neighborly. It was not so that people think that he was insane or people don't feel bad about him. It was not so, but he was not so popular with the people. What they think that the qualities of Ernest as a young boy was industrious, hardworking, and kind and neighborly. He is a good person. They didn't know that the Gatestone phase had become a teacher to him, that the sentiment which was expressed in it would enlarge the young man's heart. And the sentiment means the attachment. Now, what was the result of this attachment of Ernest with the Gatestone phase? He grew to be a kind-hearted person and fill it with deeper sympathies than others thought. He became a very humble, polite, kind, helpful, and generous person. So you should be able to use adjectives for this context, isn't it? So you can go on writing side by side when I speak some adjective for if they are not written as I used generous, kind-hearted, generous. Now, what is a enlarge the young man's heart? That is a generosity. That is a quality of being generous, kind-hearted. Fill it with deeper sympathy. Sympathy means who has empathy for others, who has sympathizing nature. They didn't know that from this would come a better wisdom that would be learned from books. As I told earlier, that we usually learn the qualities or such qualities from our parents, from our teachers, from books and surroundings. Now, he was learning all these qualities not from books, but rather, mother is also mentioned as a kind lady, isn't it? Kind, and he has taken this quality from mother, but he was getting wisdom because wisdom is not, we can't say that it is inherited. wisdom. So सियानत जिसको हम बोलते हैं ना पंजाबी में सियानत, ये एक मेच्योरिटी के साथ आती है, एक एक्सपीरियंस के साथ आती है। जो आपकी लाइफ का जैसा एक्सपीरियंस रहता है, क्योंकि वो शुरू से थॉटफुल था, इसलिए उसका एक्सपीरियंस ऐसा था कि he became a wise person. He learned wisdom from this great stone face. That could be learned from this. Neither did Ernest know that the thoughts which came to him so naturally, and all these thoughts were coming naturally to him. They were growing naturally in him. Were of a higher tone than those which all men shared with him. जो हम एक इंसान से सीख सकते हैं, इससे कहीं ज्यादा he was learning from the great stories. A simple soul, simple as when his mother first told him the old story. He beheld the marvelous face looking down the valley and still wondered why its human likeness was so long in, but he had been always waiting for a person who have the same likeness to the great stone. By this time, poor Mr. Gathergold was dead and buried. Now we have read about this Gathergold who visited the valley. He was a wealthy person, such a wealthy person that he required years to count his wealth. But his wealth, which was the body and spirit of his existence, had disappeared before his death. But that wealth was spent, it vanishes with his life. Since the melting away of his gold, what is the melting away of his gold means? It vanishes, it was spent, it was destroyed. It had been generally it had been generally agreed that there was no great likeness after all between the ruined merchant and the majestic face upon the mountain. अब ऐसे कुछ भी क्वालिटीज लोगों को और इसको भी दिखाई नहीं दी अर्नेस्ट को, लोगों को भी क्लियर हो गया दैट ही कुडंट बी द दिस ग्रेट स्टोन फेस, है ना, जिसकी पेरिशेबल हो qualities, जिसकी because his quality, the only quality was wealth, so that cannot be the great stone face. It so happened that another son of the valley had become a soldier many years before. Now we were talking about the another arrival, another person who visited the valley. He had become a soldier many years before after a great deal of hard fighting. He was now a famous commander. A commander reaches the valley. He was now this person who visits the valley. Yes. It so happened that another son of the valley had become a soldier many years before. After a great deal of hard fighting, he was now a famous commander. He was known on the battlefield by the name of Blood and Thunder. Circle this name. This is the second person who is thought to be the great stone face. Blood and Thunder. Old and tired now. He was brigadier, but now he was old. He had lately expressed a desire to return to his native valley, who also in his old age decided to visit the valley. The inhabitants, his old neighbors and their grown-up children, prepared to welcome the renowned commander. Now, the people who welcomed this commander, what they think of? It was being said that at last the likeness of the great stone face had actually appeared. People started thinking, people were now of the opinion that this person was this Blood and Thunder was the great stone face. Great, therefore, was excitement throughout the valley. Many people who had never once thought of glancing at the great stone face now spent much time in gazing at it. These people had been always thinking of, people had been always waiting for this, for the person to come to valley. So they starting gazing at the, just resembling the, they try to get the resemblance in great stone face and this general. Now the people who had never once thought of glancing at the great stone face now spend much time in gazing at it, for the sake of knowing exactly how General Blood and Thunder looked. Means they were trying to just correlate them. On the day of the general's arrival, Ernest and all the other people of the valley left their work. Now, when this general was going to come visiting, what did the people do? They left their work. They were desperately waiting. They left their work and proceeded to the spot where a great banquet had been prepared. Soldiers stood on guard, flags waved, and the crowd roared. Ernest was standing too far back to see Blood and Thunder's face. Now, Ernest was also there. He had been desperately waiting. However, he could hear several voices. "It's the same face, exactly," cried one man, dancing for One of the person in the crowd, he exclaimed, "Wonderfully, like it, that's that," replied another. "And why not?" cried a third. "He is the greatest man of this or any other age beyond a doubt." People means one or the other person, they were appreciating their views. "Wonderfully, like it, that's fact," replied another. "And why not?" cried a third. "He is the greatest man of this or any other age beyond a doubt." These all agreed that he was resembling great. Ernest at last could see the general's face, and in the same glass to the side, he could also see the great stone face. You can also see in the picture given that people are trying to correlate. This is the blood and thunder, and this is the great stone face at the back. Now, this young boy, Ernest, he also tried to just relate them, correlate them, isn't it? Ernest at last could see the general's face, and in the same glance to the side, he could see the great stone face. If there was such a likeness as the crowd proclaimed, Ernest could not recognize it. But Ernest did not appreciate the people's view. He was not able to go with the thinking of the people that this blood and thunder was. He didn't appreciate. "Fear not, Ernest," said his heart. अब ये बच्चा thoughtful है, this young man now grown, है ना? We can say that a child can be imaginative, a child can think of talking to great stones. और धीरे धीरे क्या होता है? When he is a grown up, he started talking to himself, because it is our imagination only, as I discussed yesterday. है ना? We always think, listen, and see, but we won't. Now this boy, he अंदर से उसके मन से आवाज आती है. "Fear not, Ernest," said his heart, as if the great stone face was whispering to him. है ये मन की आवाज है, जो उसकी किसकी किसकी साउंड लगती है? Great stone face. As if the great stone face was whispering to him, "Fear not, Ernest, he will come." Now his heart says, or in other ways, he was getting this response from great stone face that, "Fear not, Ernest, definitely the person you are waiting for will be there." Right? So, beta, here ends the first part. Here, with the comprehension check, you have some blanks with true and false. The great stone face stood near where Ernest and his mother lived. It will make the facts more clear to you. Right? When we do these, after reading the chapter, you will do it in the book. These true and false. Working with the text, these are the back exercise questions. Working with the language. In this, we will get the. Now, very good exercise here. These you will do in the book itself, which are blank partner you can do in the book. These are the noun form. These words you will convert into noun form. Fine. Let me see the other, show you the other, then we'll start this part. Okay. Then this add ly to each of the following adjectives, then use them to fill the blanks. Means you will use by adding ly, perfectly, nearly, kindly, pleasantly, accurately. Means adverb. They will become adverb. These are, in a way, you can learn that these are the adjectives, and when we add this ly, they will become adverb. But that is not the only way of adverb, only recognition of adverb. It's not so. It depends upon the use, whether a word is used as an adjective or an adverb. है ना? ऐसे भी word होते हैं, they are not having ly, but they are adverb. Next is complete each sentence below using the appropriate form of the verb. Again, these are the tense, exercise of tense. This also you will do in the book itself. Imagine you are Ernest, narrate the story that his mother told him. Begin like this. My mother and I were sitting at the door of our cottage. And you know that in this term you are having, before you are having story writing. We will do that also. So in a way, you are going to write a story here. You are supposed to imagine yourself Ernest and write the story. The whole, describe the whole chapter. Next is, imagine your gather gold, write briefly the incident of your return to the valley. Begin like this. My name is Gathergold. I left the valley of the Great Stone Face 50 years ago. Next, you are asked to uh, just think yourself to be Gathergold. This is speaking and writing.